Are you a guy who's been constantly trying to boost testosterone levels but never seem to notice any difference in terms of your blood test results? Or subjectively, you just don't feel like you have high testosterone? Well, in this video, what I'm going to do is take a look at 6 reasons that could be holding you back and preventing you from maxing out your testosterone levels as high as possible naturally. So if you've been enjoying these videos, please do like the video, hit subscribe down below, and let's get a discussion going. Please leave a comment down below. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. So reason number 1 is obesity. Now, some of you probably have heard this a million times over, but being obese is definitely unhealthy and also unmanly. Now, for some of you who have already seen some of my content, you will know the implications for carrying excess body fat and how that can lead to ill health and also affect your hormones. So we can see here that visceral adipose tissue, which is visceral fatty tissue, can actually drive up aromatase, which is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen or estradiol. Visceral adipose tissue excess can also increase SHBG or sex hormone binding globulin. And it can also increase insulin resistance and also decrease myogenesis, which is the creation of new muscle. In addition, we see that increased visceral adipose tissue or increased fatty tissue accumulation can increase pro-inflammatory cytokines, which can decrease GnRH or gonadotrophin releasing hormone, and also lower luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, decreasing Leydig cell function, which can lead to a reduction in testosterone levels. In addition, it can also increase lipoprotein lipase, which can also drive down testosterone levels. So we really need to be ensuring that we're not carrying excess body fat. And generally speaking, what I've seen in most of the clients that I've worked with and a lot of the guys that have joined the Limitless course, the healthy body fat percentage range appears to be around 9 to 14% body fat in general. This is for the average man to max out his testosterone. This is what we've seen, well, what I've personally seen in terms of blood work assessment and things like that. So in terms of the obesity being a contributing factor, in 2007, a study of 1,667 men ages 40 and above found that each 1% or 1 point increase in BMI was associated with a 2% decrease in testosterone. Now, in addition, a 2008 study of 1,862 men ages 30 and above found that waist circumference was an even stronger predictor of low testosterone levels than BMI. A 4-inch increase in waist size increased a man's odds of having a low testosterone level by 75%. For comparison, 10 years of aging increased the odds by only 36%. So we're seeing here, obviously, an increase in waist size increases a man's odds of having low testosterone levels by 75%. That is a dramatic increase. In particular here, we're seeing that carrying excess body fat, in particular around the waist, is a very bad situation if you're trying to optimize testosterone production. Now, just a reminder, with the testosterone reference ranges, many clinical blood testing facilities and labs are now reducing the normal reference range for testosterone production and testosterone in terms of their blood work result. So we are actually not the same man that our grandfather was. And this is because they've actually reduced the reference range. They've actually reduced the highest level of testosterone and they've actually reduced it down because the global average level of testosterone has decreased so dramatically that it's now reflecting in terms of blood work, and that most governments and health bodies are now reducing the normal range, which is absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous in my opinion, since we know that having very high levels of testosterone actually leads to better health, better vitality, improvements in longevity parameters, and overall vitality. So that's something that we need to factor in there as well. Reason number 2 is poor sleep. Now we can see here, this study here was titled "Sleep Loss During Military Training Reduces Testosterone in US Army Rangers," a 2-study series. And in study 1, testosterone significantly decreased from roughly 105 to 79 picograms per mil, so roughly a 28% reduction after sleep deprivation. So similarly, in study number 2, following sleep deprivation, testosterone levels significantly decreased, approximately 25% reduction. And in addition, it was actually significantly noticeable that the subjects noticed some of the negative effects of low testosterone. And so the conclusion was that these data add to the growing body of literature showing that loss of sleep decreases testosterone, which may ultimately have a negative impact on physical training and performance in physically active or physically elite populations like the US Army Rangers. So clearly poor sleep is a contributing factor. And so you're probably wondering now, how does poor sleep or sleep deprivation actually lower testosterone? So I've bullet pointed some of the key ways in which sleep deprivation can actually contribute to low testosterone. The first one is disrupted circadian rhythm. The second is the increase in cortisol levels. The third is reduced REM sleep, or REM, rapid eye movement sleep. The fourth is it disrupts the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. The fifth is it affects testicular function. And the sixth point is that it can increase inflammation. So that is a really clear and succinct way in which sleep deprivation can actually lower testosterone. We can see the actual mechanisms by which sleep deprivation can actually lead to lower levels of testosterone. So a general good rule of thumb is to aim for around 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted high quality sleep per night to max out testosterone levels. And if you want to look at some of my best sleep biohacks, that is covered in my Limitless course. You'll see that linked down below in the video description. Reason number 3 is a poor diet. Now, there are various dietary practices and protocols that can actually have a negative effect on testosterone production. And so I'll go through some of the ranges of different diets that can actually contribute to low testosterone levels. So the first one is the vegan diet. I've seen a number of men who have come to me with their blood test results and they've actually been on a vegan diet, and we've seen significantly lower levels of testosterone on a vegan diet. In addition, men that go on a ultra low fat diet see reductions in testosterone. A very high carb diet or an ultra high carb diet can also lead to low levels of testosterone. A diet rich in refined carbohydrates can actually lower testosterone. A diet that is void in micronutrients is another factor. Extreme fasting diets, which involve extreme caloric restriction, can actually lead to reductions in testosterone. And also soy-based foods such as tofu and soybeans, this can also lead to lower levels of testosterone. So just a reminder, if you want to learn about the best dietary strategies to optimize testosterone production naturally, make sure you join the Limitless course as I go through my testosterone boosting grocery list. That's a comprehensive list of foods that are actually great and effective for increasing testosterone. Reason number 4 is having high serotonin and or low dopamine. Now, generally speaking, serotonin has an inhibitory effect on testosterone production indirectly. Now, firstly, high serotonin levels can actually raise prolactin levels, and prolactin essentially puts the handbrakes on testosterone production. And so what we know here is that there's actually 4 major reasons how serotonin or high levels of serotonin can actually lead to lower levels of testosterone. And we can see here the first point is the negative feedback loop. So serotonin plays a role in inhibiting the release of luteinizing hormone from the pituitary gland. Now, luteinizing hormone stimulates the production of testosterone in the testes, and when serotonin levels are elevated, they can activate receptors that suppress the release of luteinizing hormone, leading to decreased testosterone production. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is the effect on the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Now, elevated levels of serotonin can actually interfere with the normal functioning of this particular axis, disrupting the release of hormones that actually regulate testosterone production. Point number 3 is the effect of serotonin on the stress response. Now, high serotonin levels can actually influence the stress response by activating the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which actually leads to the release of cortisol. So what we're seeing here is absolutely crazy, that serotonin can actually lead to an increase in the levels of the stress hormone cortisol by activating the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. Now, cortisol and testosterone have an inverse relationship, meaning that when cortisol levels are elevated due to stress, testosterone levels will see a decrease. And the fourth point is the neurotransmitter balance. Serotonin and dopamine are both neurotransmitters that play a role in mood regulation. However, high serotonin levels can actually, when relative to low dopamine levels, can actually reduce testosterone levels by affecting the dopaminergic prolactin relationship as well. Reason number 5 is a reason that not many men would be aware of, and that is a varicocele or a varicocele. Now, a varicocele is a medical condition characterized by the enlargement of the veins within the scrotum, which is the pouch of skin that holds the testes. Now, it is commonly found on the left side of the scrotum, but can occasionally actually occur on both sides. Now, many men that actually suffer from a varicocele notice that it feels like a bag of worms at the back of their testes. So the veins that actually drain the testes, it feels like a bag of worms and it feels inflamed and sort of puffy. So varicoceles are actually similar to those varicose veins that actually appear on the legs. And so you can see in a normal testicular architecture and functioning, there's healthy veins and healthy circulation and flow of blood. But in a varicocele, we can see that there's dilated veins, and that can actually significantly lead to reduced levels of testosterone. So having a varicocele is a stealth reason for having low testosterone. Large varicoceles can actually oftentimes be seen with the naked eye, or a patient can actually feel something resembling a bag of worms in their scrotum. Now, more commonly, however, a varicocele is only detected upon examination by a physician or your medical doctor. Thus, the best way to detect a varicocele is by careful physical examination by either your doctor or a urologist. Now, bear in mind that fortunately, a varicocele is pretty easy to treat, and then we can see that surgery versus an embolization, the differences in recovery time and also returning to normal sexual activity and normal testicular function. So actually, by correcting a varicocele, this can actually increase testosterone levels significantly in men that were previously unaware of actually suffering from a varicocele. So reason number 6 is exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals. So things like BPA and other forms of plastic, xenoestrogens, these are known as endocrine disruptors. And we can see that not only will EDCs affect testosterone output, it will also affect sperm quality, fertility, and implantation. So affecting fertility is a big one. And we can see that even in some studies that exposure to some of these xenoestrogens can actually shrink penis size and actually lead to a reduced size of the male genitalia. This is something that's noticed in various animal species. Frogs that are exposed to plastic actually see reductions in genital size. An effect that might be playing about in terms of the reductions in penile size that a number of men are complaining of in today's day and age. So now, what does it really take to hit 1000 nanograms per deciliter of total testosterone? Now, these are the major points that I've outlined, and I've covered this in greater detail in my Limitless course. Number 1, we need to be strict with nutrition about 90% of the time. We need to strictly prioritize sleep, at least 7.5 hours, ideally if you're lifting weights. We need to implement advanced supplementation protocols. We need to manipulate our environment. We need to incorporate red light therapy, using heavy weight training or resistance training frequently, or HIIT training. We need to be avoiding testosterone blockers. We need to also make sure we're icing our balls daily. Many of you know about the benefits of icing your balls. And we need to be optimizing other hormones such as thyroid, prolactin, and also dopamine. So just a little reminder here, some quick shocking facts around low sex drive as well. If you're a guy with the following, you can actually have low sex drive due to either low DHT, low estrogen or estradiol, insufficient thyroid hormone output, excess serotonin, low dopamine, low histamine, overmethylation, low and or high cortisol. These are really important factors that men need to pay attention to if they suffer from low sex drive. So hopefully these reasons were significant enough for you to make changes to your dietary protocols or your lifestyle regimes. If you have found this video useful or helpful, please like the video, drop a comment down below, and please do share this video around online in various platforms and other social media platforms. It does help to get the message out there. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.